You've heard it a million times, right? That old business mantra, location, location, location. But it is so much more than just a catchphrase. It's a high-stakes, multi-million-dollar puzzle that every single business has to solve, from your local coffee shop to a global tech giant. Get it right, and you can thrive. But get it wrong? Well, you might not survive at all.
So why does this one decision carry so much weight? Seriously, what are the hidden factors that can turn a pretty good spot into an absolute gold mine or a bad one into a total business killer? Let's dig in and break it down.
Let's start with a real-world example, just to ground us. Back in the 90s, Toyota decided to build this massive factory in Burniston, England. Now, this wasn't just a random pin on a map. No way. They were playing chess, not checkers. They wanted a gateway to the entire European market. They knew they needed access to a pool of skilled manufacturing labor, and you can bet they negotiated for government incentives. This one decision was a huge strategic bet on their future.
Because that's really what this is all about. A make-or-break decision. A prime location gives a company this incredibly powerful competitive edge, but a poor one, it can become an anchor, just dragging down profits and growth for years and years to come.
I mean, just think about the ripple effect. Your location directly hits your bottom line through costs like rent and what you have to pay people locally. It completely dictates your operational efficiency, like how close are you to your suppliers. For a retail shop, it basically defines your entire customer base. And maybe most importantly, it sets the ceiling for your long-term growth.
Now, to really understand this, we need to kind of split the business world in two, because there's a huge fundamental difference between a business that makes things and a business that serves people. And their location strategies, they're practically polar opposites.
The divide is pretty simple when you think about it. A manufacturing plant is all about its inputs. It needs to be close to raw materials, on land that's affordable, and have fantastic transport links. But a service business, like a bank or a restaurant, that's all about reaching people. It has to be where the customers are, with tons of visibility and easy access. Just look at these two images. On one side, you've got the raw power and scale of industry. It's all about energy, materials, logistics. On the other side, a busy street. It's about foot traffic, accessibility, and just being seen. What is absolutely vital for that factory is almost completely irrelevant for the coffee shop on that corner.
So let's stick with the manufacturers for a second. They're weighing a few key things. First up, raw materials. A steel plant wants to be near an iron ore port, right? It just cuts down on those massive transport costs. Second, transport links. It's no accident that factories often cluster near major motorways. Third, you've got land and energy. They need huge, cheap plots of land and often a ton of power. And finally, skilled labor.
And all of this is supported by one absolutely critical concept: infrastructure. And we're not just talking about roads here. It's the whole web. The power grids, the water supply, the internet connectivity. Without strong infrastructure, a modern factory just can't operate efficiently. It is the lifeblood of production.
And of course, you can't have a factory without people. That's where the labor market comes in. And it's not just about finding any workers, it's about finding workers with the right skills and at the right cost. You see, a high-tech car factory needs skilled engineers and technicians just as much as a Silicon Valley startup needs brilliant software developers.
Okay, so let's completely flip the script and look at service businesses. Here, the math is totally different. The number one rule is as simple as it gets. Be where the people are. Think about McDonald's. They are absolute masters of this. They don't just guess. They use mountains of data on traffic patterns, local demographics, and commuter routes to pinpoint the single best corner with the most foot traffic.
Now, let's zoom out, because in today's economy, the decision isn't just about which city or state to choose. A lot of the time, it's about which country. The entire world can be your factory floor, your talent pool, and your customer base.
So what are the big drivers for going global? Well, lower labor costs are a classic one, which is why so many electronics firms are set up in places like Vietnam. But it's also about political stability. Investors absolutely hate uncertainty. Favorable exchange rates can give profits a nice boost, meaning the money you earn there is worth more back home. And of course, there's the ultimate prize, getting access to huge, new markets full of customers. And the Apple example just shows how complex these decisions are. For years, everybody just assumed Apple built iPhones in China because it was cheap. But that totally misses the crucial point. They're there for the skilled workforce and one of the most sophisticated, efficient supply chains on the entire planet. Something you can't just replicate overnight. It's a strategic choice for smart labor, not just cheap labor.
Okay, so you've analyzed your costs, your customers, your global options, but there's one more major player at the table that you absolutely cannot ignore: the government. They're the ones who set the rules of the game.
And they set those rules through this whole web of laws and regulations. They can dictate where you can build, what you can build, and how you have to operate. And this covers everything from environmental protection to worker safety.
So regulation is just the formal term for all these rules. Think about the massive expansion plans for Heathrow Airport in London. That project has faced years and years of delays and legal challenges, all because of regulations around things like noise pollution and environmental impact. These rules have real power to stop a billion-dollar project dead in its tracks.
All right, we've looked at what manufacturers need, what service businesses need, global factors, legal hurdles. So how on earth does a company take all of this conflicting information and actually make a choice? Let's break down that final decision-making process.
It's not about throwing a dart at a map, that's for sure. It's a logical framework. First, you define your core objectives. What's more important, cost reduction or market access? Second, you list and compare all your potential options. Third, you have to systematically weigh the pros and cons of each. You know, a rural site might be cheap, but it could be really hard to staff. A city site is accessible, but super expensive. And finally, you make the call that best aligns with those objectives you set at the start.
And so here it is, probably the most important takeaway from this entire explainer. There is no such thing as a perfect location. It just doesn't exist. Every single choice is a compromise. It's all about making the right trade-offs for your specific business.
And Amazon is the perfect case study of a brilliant strategic trade-off. To make next-day delivery a reality, they needed warehouses right on the edge of major cities, near motorways. Now that land is incredibly expensive, but they made the trade. They decided to pay that higher cost to turn a cost center, a boring old warehouse, into a competitive weapon, unbeatable delivery speed, and it completely changed the game for everyone.
So if the perfect location is a myth, it all comes down to what you're willing to sacrifice to gain an edge. Are you willing to trade higher rent for more customers? Maybe lower wages for a less skilled workforce? So for your next big idea, or the next time you see a new business pop up in your neighborhood, ask yourself, what was their trade-off? And what would you be willing to trade?